I don't know if you ever heard about it, but people used to call SpongeBob woke propaganda from time to time.
I guess we're doing this. Here's what it is. When you call a episode of a TV show propaganda, you act like the TV show episode, that episode is uniquely giving a message when most other episodes don't. But all TV show episodes give a message. They all do that. Every show episode has some kind of message, has some kind of thing that it's trying to say in its story. And Rockabye Bivalve does that no more than any other episode around it. It's just that the issue is something that people who are bigoted have made into a bigger deal than it actually is. Okay, so I was not planning on talking about SpongeTruths today, but I saw this thumbnail and I can't not. So why many parents banned SpongeBob. And SpongeBob is wearing a rainbow hat. And we all see the third thing that it says there. We all see it. I don't need to repeat it. Cancel SpongeBob. We are banning this show. So first thing I'll point out is the easy thing. They saw that the Narlene thumbnail, they saw that this video really worked for them, so they're doing a similar thing. It's that Alpha J Show thumbnail. I don't know if Alpha J Show is the only one who does it, but it's basically just a thumbnail where you have a character and you have like comments. It's basically to communicate that there are people who felt a certain way about something, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you agree with them. So like in the case of Narlene, the point of the video was that Narlene was a bad character. Although the video itself wasn't that hard on Narlene. Like I think the video itself almost was making it out like these commenters would be like over exaggerating. So I feel like, honestly, I think we just need to get into the video. I don't know what it's going to say. I really don't. SpongeTruths has not really been that provocative in terms of like when I criticize SpongeTruths for being like heinous, it's usually like with this SpongeBob most childish moments where like they do kind of vaguely sexual stuff. You know, there's my Mr. Krabs has a fetish video. I'd say that that's kind of my biggest, you know, not my Mr. Krabs has a fetish video. SpongeTruths made a video called Mr. Krabs has a fetish and I responded to it. I reacted to it. It's not my video. You know, like they do some stuff like that, but I have not seen SpongeTruths do something that like seems like this. We just have to get into it. We just have to get into it. But we already can kind of see the implicit homophobia of SpongeBob wearing the rainbow hat and this third thing that it's saying, that is stoking a certain level of homophobia that I don't think is, even if the video itself is not in favor of that sort of homophobia, even if the video itself is critical of that sort of homophobia, I think that it's pretty messed up to put that in the thumbnail so flippantly. Like, you have to acknowledge that that kind of homophobia exists in order to combat it. But if you throw it in a thumbnail is very unnuanced. A thumbnail doesn't, like, for example, like I'm going to put this thumbnail in my thumbnail where I react to this video, but in that one, it's going to have text that says, you know, like it's going to have text that is like showing that I take issue with the thumbnail. That's already more context. That is like, okay, like this person is against this what this thumbnail is saying. But I think this comes off as almost a little too neutral towards that sort of homophobia, to the point where I think that that is an issue. But let's see what the actual video has to say. We just got to get right into it.
I don't know if you ever heard about it, but people used to call SpongeBob woke propaganda from time to time.
No, they didn't, because that wasn't a term back then. Woke is a contemporary term. When did people start using the term woke? I feel like it's like after 2016 at least. People weren't saying woke in 2005. right? I guess we're doing this. Not even 1 second. It's been 5 seconds. They got 5 seconds.
And my first reaction
This is going to be fun, guys. This is going to be fun.
was, that's stupid. It's a cartoon about a sponge who flips burgers. But then
Wait, that's... Okay, so already this reaction I think is pretty bad.
my first reaction was, that's stupid. It's a cartoon about a sponge who flips burgers.
It's a cartoon about a sponge who flips burgers. So already there is an element of what would it be? Yeah, it's a little bit of anti-intellectualism, media illiteracy, you know, the idea of, like, it can't talk about serious issues. It's just a show about a sponge who flips burgers. You know, like, I get the sentiment that the AI is going for with that statement of, like, the show wouldn't really delve into that topic but, like, it's so not going in the right direction with that. Oh, boy. Woke came from Twitter, and they were acting like they were using it during season 3. Malcolm X used the term woke. Okay, so that's funny. In 2 chats in a row, one person saying Malcolm X used the term woke, saying that woke is way before, and another person saying woke just came from Twitter, and people were using it during when SpongeBob was airing like its 3rd season. So we got 2 very different things. All I know is I don't think it was a common term back in like when people were levying these criticism against SpongeBob. Also, I don't like already.
I don't know if you ever heard about it, but people used to call SpongeBob woke propaganda.
I don't like the neutrality in this already. It's a little bit too neutral for my tastes. Like, I think we'll see if they say more. I guess I got to give them more than 30 seconds. But, like, I would never say something like this. Like, if I did a video that seriously discussed whatever the topics are in this episode, or whatever the topics are of the episodes that this is going to discuss, which I probably could, I wouldn't really frame it like that. Not only would I not say woke propaganda because people didn't say that term back then, and it's wrong, like it's wrong factually, but I think it's like kind of messed up morally as well to just be like, people called it, like just saying it like it's just an opinion. Like anyone who said, they didn't say woke propaganda, but like anyone who like back when like SpongeBob was airing was like against it on the grounds of that, like they didn't like gay people, like they're wretched, horrible people if they think that, you know, like, so like, I don't like this whole neutral thing of like, like people called it woke propaganda, but like, I don't get it because it's just a show about a sponge who flips burgers. Okay, well, why don't you acknowledge that like this is like actual real hate that gets people killed? And like, that's a problem beyond SpongeBob. No, you're not going to acknowledge any of that? Okay. Maybe you shouldn't broach the subject if you're not going to actually acknowledge that.
From time to time. And my first reaction was,
woke was used in the 90s in the black community. Its use surged within the black community after the Rodney King beating. Okay. I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of when the term is used, so yeah. But yeah, like it's not, we all see how that's not exact, like you're using a contemporary phrase to discuss something that's from a long time ago. Yeah. Like if the video called it liberal propaganda, it would make more sense. Yeah, exactly. That is more so what it would be said, what would have been said back then. Also, I think we should reclaim the word woke. I say I'm woke all the time. Like, I think it's like, I think we shouldn't let them get away with that being like a phrase that has a negative connotation. I always say, like, I like to say, like, flippantly, like, I'm woke and I like it, like it's a good thing.
But then I actually sat down and looked at what they meant. I also rewatched
I'm gonna give it a chance to explain.
bunch of episodes that kept getting brought up. See, I went into it ready to laugh the whole
What are the episodes that are there?
what they meant. I also rewatched a bunch of episodes that kept getting
I also rewatched a bunch of episodes. Like these all look like modern episodes. That's Plain to See. No, is that what the middle one? It's in black. That's Squid Noir, is the middle one. The top one that looks like what is that one? Didn't they do like they've done like some old timey parodies, right? Because I'm working on a period pieces video for SpongeBob, and I know they did like old timey parodies. I didn't watch the parodies though. I just watched I haven't watched all of them. I know there's like a Cinderella one. Maybe it's, but these don't look like the episodes that you would think of with this subject.
Brought up. See, I went into it ready to laugh the whole thing off, but apparently, well, maybe
I went into it ready to laugh the whole thing off. Okay, well, it's like actually a really serious subject. So, again, like, you know, it's hard because I almost don't want to write this off as AI. Like, they're all AI, you know, but like, I don't know, man. I guess if AI is coming up with scripts like that, that's pretty messed up. That it would be like, I'm laughing it off. Like I'd be ready to laugh. It's a serious subject, man. Like this is like actual deep rooted hatred that like actually destroys lives. Like I know it's in the context of a SpongeBob episode, but bro, you know, again, it's just like AI giving like meaningless phrases to it, you know?
that's not the case. Because at the end of the day, SpongeBob is woke propaganda by any...
Whoa! Oh! Hold up. Whoa. Wait, is this official? Is this an official image? Nickelodeon celebrating Pride with the LGBTQ plus community and their allies this month and every month. Is this a real tweet? I hope it is. SpongeBob gay. I mean, he literally had a baby with Patrick. This is the media literacy of conservatives.
Is woke propaganda by any honest definition of the word. The people calling it that are right. They're just wrong about what it means. So when people...
I'm sorry? It's probably saying that propaganda is not a negative term or something. I guess I would say the same thing. Like how anti-smoking ads are technically propaganda, but like it's not bad. Like everything is anything that makes a statement is propaganda. But like I don't know, like there is a negative connotation. I think what it is, I think my problem with calling something like let's say, okay, so like an episode like Rockabye Bivalve. While the story of Rockabye Bivalve is mostly about parents arguing, and that's really what the episode is about. Like the theme of the episode is just you should be attentive like to your kids. Like that's the actual theme of Rockabye Bivalve. It's not exactly like a story like, for example, the Family Guy episode that was an old Family Guy episode. I don't remember everything about it. I don't remember if it was a particularly good message, but I know that there was a Family Guy episode that revolved around Brian's cousin Jasper getting married to a man, and like Lois had a like character arc where she learned to like embrace. I don't remember the episode that well, so I don't remember if it was positive or negative, but like that episode as an example is an episode where the story is about like the acceptance or non-acceptance of someone for being gay. And I believe that story ended with a positive message towards it. I would think so. Even as like Family Guy is certainly not perfect with like how it portrays certain issues, I doubt it would have an episode that's that blatant. I'm pretty sure that episode ended somewhat positively. But like Rockabye Bivalve is just about conflict between two parents who are raising a kid, and they use SpongeBob and Patrick as the roles of the parents to like enhance the comedy, to tell the story. Like they're the best two characters to use for that story. Like if it was SpongeBob and Sandy, then it would just be too like, it wouldn't have had the same comedy to it. The fact that it's those two guys, but at the same time, that doesn't deflect that the episode does normalize the idea of two men raising a baby, even though SpongeBob adopts the traditional female gender role in the relationship. The idea still stands. The episode presents two men as parents of the baby. And while there's a joke here and there, like the part where the people walking by them think like sponge plus starfish equals clam, and they're like confused. There really isn't a joke in the episode where I would think that them being two men and like that being weird is like the butt of the joke. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I would say that the episode did a pretty good job of just being like, yeah, like that's the premise and that's like fine. And the reason it did that was in part because of the time period. The time period wouldn't really allow for an explicit statement. I mean, it's not even allowed now. We haven't progressed very much since then. We've progressed a little bit, but not enough, if you ask me. But the episode itself is a way of normalizing the idea of two men raising a kid in a kid show in the only way that they could have gotten away with in that time period. And for that, I think that it is positive. Now, I guess you could refer to that as like propaganda, but it's not really. Like, is the episode Idiot Box propaganda because it teaches you that, you know, imagination is a good thing? Like, it's just making a statement, you know, like, I guess it is, but you're really only calling it propaganda because it's this like political issue. And in that way, I think saying that it's propaganda, even if you're arguing that that propaganda is positive, I actually think it's unhelpful. I think it is unhelpful in the way where like something like a ad, like a political ad that is for gay rights, that is for trans rights. If you had a political ad for it, that would by definition be propaganda, and it'd be okay to say that it's propaganda, and you could just say that it's good. And like, that's like kind of the difference. But I think that here's what it is. When you call a episode of a TV show propaganda, you act like the TV show episode, that episode is uniquely giving a message when most other episodes don't. But all TV show episodes give a message. They all do that. Every show episode has some kind of message, has some kind of thing that it's trying to say in its story. And Rockabye Bivalve does that no more than any other episode around it. It's just that the issue is something that people who are bigoted have made into a bigger deal than it actually is. So that's why I take issue with it being called propaganda at all, positively or negatively.
We'll talk about SpongeBob being woke. It's kind of tricky because it's definitely not.
Bro, I can't believe that it's actually throwing the word woke around with SpongeBob. That's so interesting. I gotta see where their like final take is on it. Do we think SpongeTruths would lean conservative? Because usually these kind of channels don't. I know No Villains Are Safe. I've been keeping an eye on Scribble. And Scribble, No Villains Are Safe doesn't really have anything that's political, but Scribble has a couple political videos that seem like they're left-leaning, even though AI, I think, is right-leaning. Like, the existence of AI, I think, is inherently a right-wing thing. It's not always. There are people who are conservative who actually hate AI, and there's people who are not conservative who like AI. Like, you know, it can go either way. But generally, like, AI is more of a conservative thing because it's anti the arts and it's pro misinformation, and those are two things that help conservatives. So there's always going to be a bias towards AI from conservatives for that reason. And then there's also like unchecked, like capitalism is another thing, you know, the data centers and all that sort of stuff. Like there's so much with that, you know. So it's always going to lean more towards right wing for those reasons, AI, but it's not always hard and fast. And especially if you're trying to get views, and that's all that AI cares about is getting views. Especially if you're getting views by talking about SpongeBob, I feel like if this took like a blatant conservative stance, I feel like SpongeTruths would lose viewers over it. Whereas if it doesn't, it would keep viewers. So I'm pretty sure that this video, as milquetoast as it would be, is probably going to lean more towards being progressive in a very shallow way, and I'll talk about how that's a problem, than it would be to be like conservative. But already I think it's giving way too much neutrality towards the issue. Absolutely. What's Mr. Truths up to this time? Just some homophobia.
Let's start with the obvious one. SpongeBob is gay, which is a lot. And before anybody gets defended...
Did it say is a lie?
Let's start with the obvious one. SpongeBob is gay, which is a lot. And...
Oh, which is a lot. I thought he said which is a lie.
Before anybody gets defensive, I don't think that's an insult. Besides, the show loves to make jokes about it anyway.
In a lagoon and kissed with coral blue #2 semi-gloss lipstick.
Actually, it's coral blue #2.
That's not a gay joke. It's a gender joke because he's doing something that is not traditionally his gender role. So it's more of a gender joke than a gay joke. It's not. No, it just isn't. Like this is why media literacy is important. Like it just is not. He did say
Gets defensive. I don't think that's an insult. Besides, the show
he did say I don't think that's an insult. So it's clearly and again, I don't think that as much as I would love to be like SpongeTruths makes a homophobic video, I really doubt that would be good for again, like let's remember who we're looking at here. We're looking at someone who is just trying to get views. They're trying to use a provocative topic to get a lot of views. That's all they're doing. And I just feel like it's not going to go, I feel like it's probably not going to go too far into any direction. And it's going to go slightly to the progressive side of it, I think. I think that's how this would land because that is the spot that would be the most agreeable to the most amount of people. And honestly, I think that's a problem. And I think that's a little bit of a problem with AI too. Like, because if AI makes all of our videos and it's trying to appeal to this like widest audience, or appeal to this like most standard opinion, it is going to get just a little bit progressive. But we shouldn't be a little bit progressive. We should be a lot progressive, actually. You know? So if we have stuff like this that is the most common kind of content out there, it's going to give us this whole very shallow, you know, still slightly progressive but not progressive enough kind of content. And I think that has negative consequences. And again, this problem predates AI, that you have to be like semi-neutral on this topic. And so I mean it's a problem in SpongeBob. Like I mean, not that I think that SpongeBob like needed to be like canonically gay. I actually don't think he did. I actually think that the way that SpongeBob did its episodes I think is actually pretty perfect. And even in a world where characters could be out in kids shows and cartoons, which I think is a world that we should live in, SpongeBob just doesn't have romantic relationships. He shouldn't be in a relationship with Patrick for the same reason that he's not in a relationship with Sandy. You know, but having an episode where SpongeBob and Patrick raise a scallop together and you set up the story to the point where they raise the scallop together in that one episode, but it doesn't shift around the status quo, I think that's great. On the other hand, there's like some shows that are explicitly about romance, like, or shows that would have characters that could have romantic relationships. They should just let their characters be gay. I think we all need to relax. And I think that's better for the world. Like, people in the LGBTQ plus community are a kind of person that exists. And people should be aware of all the different kinds of people that exist from as young as they can comprehend that there are different kinds of people. And to be against that is to be against the existence of those people. There is no in between. Effeminate does not equal gay. Gay does not mean effeminate. So SpongeBob being effeminate at times does not mean gay necessarily. I completely agree. I also hate that stereotype. This is an example of AI bringing out the worst prejudices in us. You ask AI to write you a script about is SpongeBob gay, and one of the things it says is that he's effeminate. What the heck, man? Like, it's so true. And it leads into this toxic masculinity. It says that someone who doesn't identify as gay or someone who identifies more as a man, like I'm someone, I'm straight. I like being a man. I identify, I'm a cis man, but I like being a man. But like, I don't mind being effeminate at times.
Is with a pink starfish guy, which they do love to wear briefs with each other's colors. And then there's also an episode where
What? It's a joke, bro. The joke is that they wear briefs with each other's colors. Okay, if you're going to take that joke too seriously, then maybe you should take the last joke of the episode too seriously, which is where Patrick says that the underwear were white when he bought them, implying that he peed himself and that's why they were yellow. So actually that's one-sided. Well, I guess it's one-sided on SpongeBob that he wore pink underwear. The point of the ending of that episode, by the way, is that they're not so different. Like they're fighting each other and they're saying yellow, pink at each other. And then at the end, they're wearing the underwear of the opposite colors, meaning they're not so different. So they should not be so competitive with each other because in a way they're the same. The competition doesn't matter. That's the actual message of that episode. And that's a wonderful message. One might call it propaganda. Because I guess anything with a message is propaganda. But like, you know, but like you're saying they're wearing underwear that is the color of the other because SpongeBob's gay? Like, what? You're trying to make a real argument here, right? Like, you're just saying things to say things.
Patrick cross-dresses as Patricia and successfully catfishes the whole city. In fact, Squidward and Mr. Krabs seem
Patrick cross-dresses as Patricia. You gonna say why? Context?
really keen to him. Not to mention, there's also a bit where Squidward insists that SpongeBob
Wait, no context? Are you serious? You're not gonna say that the reason that Patrick cross-dresses has nothing to do with his gender expression? It's literally just a disguise. Like, the episode is about gender expression, yes, but the reason that he cross-dresses is because he is avoiding a pushy salesman who he thinks is trying to hurt him, like, because he's Patrick, so he misunderstands. The guy says, get out of town, and it's actually like a vacation salesman guy. And Patrick thinks that he's after him, so he's disguising himself because he thinks he's in danger. Actually, the episode is about gender expression, but it's actually about how Patrick, similar to what I just said, where I'm a cis man who likes being a cis man, because that's the identity that I feel most comfortable with. Patrick in that episode feels the most comfortable in that identity. And by having this silly story about him misunderstanding the situation and cross-dressing to avoid it, it's a way of the show to tell a story about gender expression without getting, taken down for it, without getting, flying past what they were able to talk about, when really in a reasonable world, a show would be able to just have an episode about gender expression straight out. Not to say that That's No Lady isn't a great episode in its own right, but that is the cultural reason why that episode had to be presented that way. And maybe an episode like that would exist all the same, even in a perfect world, But I can't believe it just said that for no reason. Like, it's just saying Patrick cross-dressed. First of all, it was Patrick. I thought you were saying SpongeBob was gay. Now you're saying Patrick. Also, cross-dressing isn't gay.
used the maid uniform when serving him in Can You Spare a Dime. Actually, that might not be directly tied to the whole gay thing, but, Anyway, the people picked...
Then why are you saying it? Also, Squidward had SpongeBob wear a maid dress because it was showing that Squidward was overstepping and having SpongeBob do stuff for him. That's the joke. Doesn't have anything to do with anything else. If it did, if that joke had something to do with being, first of all, wouldn't it mean that Squidward's gay, not SpongeBob? SpongeBob didn't want to wear the maid dress. Squidward made him. So that joke would mean that Squidward is gay. But it doesn't mean anyone's gay. It's just a joke to show that Squidward is taking advantage of his friend to the point where he'd wear a maid dress. And the fact that it's a maid dress stands out in our mind.
Gay stores across the U.S. were selling so much SpongeBob merchandise because it was popular among gay men. Because they liked SpongeBob's
I don't know, man. I'm getting bad vibes from this. Like, I know it's kind of saying it in this sort of neutrality, and it said that, like, saying someone's gay is not an insult, but, like, I don't know. I'm getting bad vibes. It's the way it's saying stuff.
Flamboyant nature and themes of tolerance. Even the Wall Street Journal ran a piece about it around that time. They wrote a big title of
Themes of Tolerance. Themes of Tolerance. Propaganda, as it said.
When they asked Hillenberg directly, is SpongeBob gay? He answered that SpongeBob is asexual, which is just the scientific answer for it, because sea sponges reproduce by budding, after all. He also added
Well, I mean, no, that's actually, if SpongeBob is asexual in the show, he's not asexual because he's a sponge. He's asexual because that's his sexuality. If that is the And Hillenberg said that was the canon, so I guess that would make it the canon. But SpongeBob being asexual does not have. I mean, like, technically, sure, like, you could kind of make it like it's a stylistic choice. Like, he's the most prominent sponge character on the show, so he shares that with sponges. But SpongeBob has two parents. SpongeBob has a male and female parent. So we saw his mother pregnant in Truth or Square. Ugh, I hate that shot. LGBT coding and themes in SpongeBob would make a good video by an actual person. I believe Lily Simpson did a video on that subject, so you should check out her channel for that. You know, it's almost kind of a cop out where it's like, oh, like, yeah, like he's just ace because like sponges are aces. No, it's a choice. That is a choice. It is an active choice to have him be a character who is not interested in romantic relationships. Although I guess the one line where he asked the Magic Conch if he's ever going to get married, I guess it kind of contradicts it. But, you know, every long-running show has lines that contradict each other. You know, it's whatever.
That the show is about tolerance, that everyone is different, and that nobody gets shut out. SpongeBob had no agenda whatsoever. Like, come on, it's just a show about underwater life goofing around. And
oh my God, I hate that. No, shows do. Wait, what did you just say?
Also added that the show is about tolerance, that everyone is.
He added, okay, so he's still talking about Steven Hillenberg. I hate when SpongeTruths talks about Steven Hillenberg because I don't personally like to talk about Steven Hillenberg much other than like in very small doses, but I just do not like the whole idea of bringing up the emotional weight of his passing and using it for like views on YouTube. Like I just feel it's really cynical. I only mention him if I think it's like absolutely necessary, but SpongeTruths brings him up all the time.
Different, and that nobody gets shut out.
So he said it was a show about inclusion. What is this quote? Which includes SpongeBob. Their inclusion of the reference to. Wait, what is this? What is this? This is not. What is this? This box is not related to what you're talking about. Focus on the family founder James Dobson last week criticized the nonprofit We Are Family Foundation Group's pro-diversity music video for children, and which includes SpongeBob. Their inclusion of the reference to sexual identity within their tolerance pledge is not only unnecessary, but it crosses a moral line. Yeah, so some homophobic monster said a messed up thing by saying that they want all gay people to stay in the closet or die. That's what this means. That's what this means, by the way. Never let them get away with acting like it's otherwise. So they just used the wrong quote here. This is not what he's referring to.
He also added that the show is about tolerance, that everyone is different, and that nobody gets shut out. He wanted to make.
Okay, so he showed the wrong quote, but he's saying that Steven Hillenberg said the show is about tolerance, that everyone is different and nobody gets shut out. So probably a very standard, the most that he could say within a unfortunate media environment that doesn't allow too much of taking a stand, lest he and the people who work for him lose all their jobs. Very tricky position to be in for him. It's actually a great answer, to be honest, saying the show is about tolerance, everyone is included. Like, because that does mean that. That does mean that, like, yeah, the show is about tolerance. You can apply it to gay people, even if the show can't explicitly say that because of the homophobia of the time that doesn't allow shows like this to discuss such a topic. The homophobia of the time. We still have that homophobia today, unfortunately.
Make it very clear that SpongeBob had no agenda whatsoever. Like, come on.
He made it very that's not what that means at all. He added that the show is about tolerance and everybody is different and nobody gets shut out.
He wanted to make it very clear that SpongeBob had no agenda whatsoever.
He wanted to make it very clear that SpongeBob had no agenda. SpongeTruths adding on to that. That's not the actual quote. But that is an agenda. Tolerance is an agenda. Like the thing I said about propaganda, like calling it an agenda is a bit much, but like, you know, like, but tolerance is tolerance. Like tolerance is a statement, and every show makes statements. Also saying agenda, guys, I think SpongeTruths is homophobic. Holy crap. I think that I actually might have been giving him too much of the benefit of the doubt. This might be like a right-wing video. Like, I don't know, man. I'm going to give it the other. Oh my God, we're only 3 minutes in. I'm going to tear this apart forever. So saying that if Steven Hillenberg said the opposite, if he said, oh yeah, SpongeBob's so supposed to be gay, and like the show is all about how you should, and the show is about tolerance, and SpongeBob, like if he said SpongeBob is gay and we should accept gay people, you would say that is an agenda? Because that's pretty messed up. Again, it's AI, but like the fact that AI would write a script like this, must have used Grok to write this one.
However, like, come on, it's just a show about underwater life goofing around. And even then,
Media illiteracy. It's just a show about every show has a message. Every episode has, and episodes that don't have a message suck. They're bad episodes. We don't like episodes that don't have a message because they're worse. Not only are they worse because they don't have a message and like they don't help the world, but they're less entertaining. Every single episode of classic SpongeBob, every single one, no exceptions, zero, has a message. Every single one. If you think that it doesn't, then you're not looking at them correctly. You are lacking media literacy where you aren't able to identify the themes and the messages. Technically, every episode of everything has a message. Even ones that I would say like flippantly don't. Like, for example, my biggest criticism of that is the episode Laundry Madness, where I say that episode has no story. Technically, every episode has a story or has a message. It's just that it's so shallow, it's so little that you might as well just say no message, because to make any piece of art, to put anything out there, you are making a statement. You are sending some kind of message, no matter what. But I mean, like the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob and beyond, I think it applies to every episode of season 4. Like the very thing that made SpongeBob a popular enough show that SpongeTruths is like siphoning its success to make their videos, the very things that made it that successful is the very thing that he is denying the existence of, or that AI is denying the existence of, because AI can't understand what a show is actually about, because AI does not have media literacy.
James Dobson of Focus on the Family stood up at a congressional dinner and called SpongeBob part of the pro-homosexual agenda.
I'm going to say this James Dobson, founder and chairman of Focus on the Family, if you don't bring up this guy, if you're doing a video where you're discussing this sort of subject and you don't bring up this guy and say that he's a wretched, homophobic piece of garbage, you yourself are homophobic. You cannot talk about a person who is the founder and chairman of Focus on the Family, who I'm sure dedicates this is a man, whoever this is, I already could tell because they're the founder and chairman of Focus on the Family, and they're getting mad about SpongeBob being gay. Whoever this person is, this is a person who has dedicated their life to hurting people. That's what people like that are. You cannot speak about these people neutrally, because if you speak about these people neutrally, you are ceding ground to them.
Specifically,
so let's see if SpongeTruths calls him out.
SpongeBob had officially been called propaganda by a major conservative organization in front of Congress. And true to their
yeah, okay. So what? Conservatives are idiots. Who cares?
style, anyone from the show responded the same way. Asexual, about tolerance, the whole not what we're going for again. But here's where it gets...
I don't think not what we're going for is the exactly thing. I think you're kind of putting words in their mouth of like that they're trying, like, I think they have to kind of remain in a certain level of neutrality, which is unfortunate, but at least from the perspective of the SpongeBob producers or the SpongeBob writers, their jobs are like super in the balance, you know, not to say that that's always a good reason to like not take a big stand, but like, I can understand a more milquetoast neutral response from the actual SpongeBob team to like kind of ignore this sort of thing. But if you're making a video on the subject, nah, you gotta take a stand. Don't like this neutral crap.
SpongeBob, You're Fired airs for the first time. The story is that Mr. Krabs fires SpongeBob to save a single nickel. Wouldn't you know it, Fox News and the New York Post immediately used the episode to argue against unemployment benefits. Their take was, look, even SpongeBob doesn't end up on food stamps because his patty-making skills are in high demand. role model.
What does this have to do with what? All over the place.
By the way, this was just days before the federal government reduced the benefit provided to 47 million food stamp recipients by 13%.
Okay, so are we being progressive, SpongeTruths? It's an interesting thing for them to point out after being so neutral about stuff.
Just because a sponge who lives in a pineapple under the sea doesn't need government help, that means no one does.
Wait, is he just going to like a completely different subject about like, I guess SpongeBob being, was that just the end of the gay discussion? Oh, it is. Wait, that's just the end. Wait, is it? Oh, wait, no, there's another like pride thing later on. Look, it's talking about like Squid on Strike. Okay, it's like all over the place. So this is just like all like SpongeBob political stuff. I feel like that kind of took a, I guess, good stand because it said that, but like say you think that they're wrong though. Like what is this like, saying that Fox News said a thing about SpongeBob not being on food stamps and then it's like a few days before they cut the programs for other people. Like that is making a stand that is, I guess, on the good side. But like, see how like this sort of, even if it's something that I would otherwise agree with, it's like saying it in a way that's just so shallow and so hollow that it just doesn't ring very hard. Like also AI is incapable of making real arguments. Like I could make actual arguments about, like if I made a video like this, like I'm doing my Animal Farm video that says a couple of, spicy stuff that's kind of similar to this. And I made like actual arguments, made actual stands, but AI isn't capable of making actual stands. So it's just kind of saying this sort of like milquetoast stuff, and it's just a little incoherent. And it doesn't really help with anything to have it do that.
Nickelodeon tweets a rainbow SpongeBob for Pride Month. This officially places him in the LGBTQ plus community. You guys might still remember vividly about these ones. Make of that what you will. Now, if you stopped right there, you'd already have...
I didn't like that. Make of that what you will. Hey, SpongeTruths, does your butt hurt, SpongeTruths? Does your butt hurt, SpongeTruths? Because it must be hard sitting on a fence like that. Can't be comfortable over there sitting on that fence. Probably hurts your butt.
Accused of pushing anti-work messaging by a major news network.
Anti-work message. Wait, no, it wasn't. You got that wrong. They were saying that the conservatives were saying that SpongeBob, you're fired. Conservatives were saying that SpongeBob, you're fired agreed with them because SpongeBob didn't go on food stamps when he got fired from the Krusty Krab. He tried to get another job, which is like, do I need to explain why that's incorrect? Why that's a bad read of the episode? That happens all the time though. Like that's a very common thing. I might do some of that at some point. I don't know, where I go over like a conservative trying to act like some show agrees with them because they do make some very silly arguments about it, but yeah.
Take Squirrel Jokes. One night SpongeBob bombed.
Oh boy, we watched SpongeTruths talk about this episode in a different video.
He panics and starts cracking jokes about Sandy being a dumb squirrel. And the whole town starts actually believing it and treating Sandy like she's stupid. Sandy comes to SpongeBob privately and
let's just recap Squirrel Jokes in the middle of this video. Why not just recap Squirrel Jokes in the middle of this video? That's great. That's great.
And as if that's not enough, there's still the Krusty Krab issues. Because when you...
Wait, that's literally it? Just a very minor read of Squirrel Jokes? What does it have to do with anything that you're talking about? I already discussed this. This part said basically the same thing that SpongeTruths said in its SpongeBob's Most Racist Episode video. Oh, when did I cover that one? I don't even remember. I don't remember when I covered that one.
See, Mr. Krabs fires SpongeBob to save a nickel, charges customers to take a step in another episode.
Oh my God. It's going to be the Mr. Krabs' anti-capitalism. Oh man, I can't wait to see what the AI has to say about this. Funnily enough, I mean, I'm working on my Animal Farm video. That's a major subject of it. is Squid on Strike. I actually talk about Squid on Strike in my Animal Farm video. So I actually, if you want to see an actual good way that we can discuss like Mr. Krabs and like the anti-capitalism, because it's just misdiscussed so often. I think even by non-AI channels, I think it's a little bit much. People definitely misread it.
Almost sells SpongeBob's soul for 62 cents.
God, everyone brings that one up.
And then drives an entire jellyfish population to near extinction. SpongeBob, who works constantly, gets paid almost nothing and genuinely loves every second of it.
A source on him getting paid almost nothing? It's not. I know that there are times where they say that Mr. Krabs like pays them badly, but like I just think it's a bit like you're using this. See how it's said like evidence from like actual episodes, and then it just goes, yeah, and he like pays SpongeBob nothing, but it doesn't really have much evidence. It even used a shot from, look how it shows a shot from Chocolate with Nuts where he's not even at the Krusty Krab to be. And I know like there's this scene in like Squid on Strike where Squidward says you hardly pay us at all, you know, or like SpongeBob's like I had to pay Mr. Krabs 100. Again, this is like why media literacy is so important. Is like you're not looking, again, well, it's at the time of this stream, it's not out yet, but by the time of the podcast video, it probably will be. But watch my Animal Farm video where I actually talk about in a media literate way how Mr. Krabs being greedy and how this Squid on Strike specifically does make comments about capitalism and about politics in a way that is not just insufferably saying, hey, Mr. Krabs is greedy, so that's like anti-capitalism. No, capitalism is not when Guy is greedy. There's actually a ton of material conditions that go into someone being greedy, making capitalism worse. If anything, what you should talk about when you talk about Mr. Krabs being greedy and how that has to do with capitalism, you shouldn't just talk about how Mr. Krabs is greedy. You need to talk about how the system encourages Mr. Krabs to be greedy, because that's actually what you're criticizing. When you criticize capitalism, you can't just say Mr. Krabs sold SpongeBob for 62 cents, because that has nothing to do with capitalism. The Flying Dutchman is a ghost. The Flying Dutchman doesn't have anything to do with it's a personal story about a guy being so greedy that he betrays his friend or his employee. Like he betrays a person who he claims to be close with for money. That's not about capitalism. That's about being greedy. Jellyfish Hunter is about capitalism, because Jellyfish Hunter is about how production and commerce and the demands of the consumer base can lead to someone who is greedy taking advantage of that and harming the environment. So Jellyfish Hunter, but you have to acknowledge that. You have to say what I just said. You can't just go, in Jellyfish Hunter he did this. You have to say why that's a critique of capitalism. And also, did people get mad about that? Like, you're talking about how conservatives reacted to SpongeBob. Was there, I mean, I guess I'll see, but I don't know anything about like conservative orgs getting, maybe like Squid on Strike? I don't know. But like, did a conservative complain about this episode? That just doesn't really seem like it's in their wheelhouse.
Who worked of a worker who's been exploited so completely, he doesn't even realize it as exploitation anymore. But Squidward
No, he doesn't realize it's exploitation because he's naive. It doesn't have anything to do with Mr. Krabs. He's just naive. You're actually taking away the point of the episode, Squid on Strike, is that SpongeBob is naive from the beginning. The system didn't make SpongeBob naive. SpongeBob is already naive. And him being naive makes him interact with the system in a way that he ends up ruining the strike efforts by not understanding the nuances of the strike like Squidward does, and Squidward not really properly explaining it to him, and that's what makes their strike effort fail. That's what the story is about.
People call this anti-corporate propaganda because
Who called it anti-corporate propaganda? Again, with that throwing around propaganda. It's just a story, man. It's a story about a thing that can happen. It's a personal story. Squid on Strike is as much a personal story as it is a political one. Everyone gets this wrong about Squid on Strike. They get so distracted by the fact that Squidward says the gentle laborer, like Squidward says a bunch of communism words, and like it's great that he does. I love that the episode is so honest with its subject matter that it has Squidward talk like that. That's amazing. Like it's such a respect for your audience, a respect that the Animal Farm movie did not have. Again, I'm going to talk about that a lot in my Animal Farm video. But Squid on Strike is also a personal story. It's about Mr. Krabs and Squidward, their pride against each other, and SpongeBob's naivete and him getting all wrapped up in the movement. Their emotional arcs also feed into this story. So reducing it to its anti-corporate propaganda, it loses all of that. If anything, you're doing the corporations a favor by being like, yeah, it's just anti-corporate propaganda. Like they're just making it because like they hate the corporations. Like, no, they're telling an actual story and making an actual statement about how greedy people and the system of capitalism does this to people and makes these sorts of situations happen. That's what it actually means.
It teaches kids how to organize a strike against a cheap boss. And then there's the global...
Teaches kids how to organize a strike against a cheap boss. That is just incredibly incorrect. So my take on this episode, it does not do that, because kids don't need to learn how to organize a strike against a cheap boss. That actually is not a problem that children face in their day-to-day lives. And by the time that they are adults, they can learn how to organize a strike from other means. They don't need to learn it from a SpongeBob episode. No, the reason that Squid on Strike is a good episode for kids is because it teaches kids to identify when something is not fair and that they should speak up when something is not fair. That's why Squid on Strike is a good lesson for kids. Reducing it to this, in fact, you're playing into every conservative stereotype. Like that's what a bad faith person would say about it. Oh, they're teaching kids to go on strike. No, no, no. It's telling a story about a situation that is unfair, and a kid can relate to that. And that's why it's a good kid show message. Not because it's teaching kids how to go on strike. Going on strike, that's a very adult problem. You could talk about it in a kid show, it's fine. But the actual nuances of like a strike and, you know, all that sort of stuff and labor and all that, like, no, kids aren't going to understand that. So it'd be kind of a waste of time to make an episode about it. But making an episode like Squid on Strike that's about a situation that's just unfair, that's great. That's positive in every way.
Hillenberg came back to write and direct exactly one short called The Endless Summer, an episode to make fun of corporate greed and spread awareness of global warming. That's it. There's also a strange conversation.
That's it. Is that true? I didn't know that.
About some minorities in Bikini Bottom, about sandy cheeks.
Wait, is that it?
There's also a strange...
Why is he... Look, he's not giving sources anymore. He started off where he was saying, like, these people, these conservative groups had these issues with it, but then he just says, people called it anti-corporate propaganda. Who did? Who called it that? Why do you not have a source for... Why do you have a source for these two... For these 2 points, but you don't have a source for others?
Episode to make fun of corporate greed. And
the funny thing is that the Endless Summer, there were conservatives who got mad at the Endless Summer, because I know I've seen Ava's video about it, where he talked about the Endless Summer and how like Fox News got mad about it. So that actually you could have had a source. I just do not like that it is not refuting these things, like that it just is saying that people got mad about it and it's kind of leaving it at that. It almost had with the like food assistance thing where it said that, but like it just said it's anti-corporate propaganda. I guess with the squirrel jokes it does. I don't, it's just weird the way it's stating this so neutrally. I'm surprised at how like fence sitting it is. I thought that it would at least be a little bit, and I thought it was going to be more slightly progressive, to be honest. I guess it's trying to be neutral. I guess it's trying to have this video be palatable to people who are on the left and on the right. I think that's what it's doing. That must be what it's doing. Where like if someone is like really conservative, they could watch this and they could just like think about that stuff and just add their own thoughts to it and then agree with it.
There's also a strange conversation about some minorities in Bikini Bottom, about sandy cheeks. You know.
Wait, didn't you just... What is the order here? I thought you already talked about squirrel jokes. Recap squirrel jokes, and then you talk about other things, And now you're back to talking about Sandy being a representation of minority groups? What?
Since she's a land creature living in an underwater world. And yet, she maintains her culture. When she gets homesick in the Texas episode, the whole cast has to convince her to stay because, well, she's one of them now. I mean, it does sound like an...
What was that? What was that read? The whole cast had to convince her to stay because she's one of... I mean... I think you needed a little more to analyze. I don't think that that's like a political statement. I think the point of Texas is that sometimes when you're homesick, you're just homesick. So you don't need to uproot your whole life over it. I think that's the point of Texas. I don't think it has anything to do with like immigration. Is that what you're trying to say?
Immigrant story, whether it was intended or not.
Yeah, I guess that is what it's trying to say.
But they're not stopping there. Some people take all of this even further. And honestly, this one surprised me when I found
And honestly,
out. In 2019, a University of Washington professor published an academic paper calling SpongeBob violent, racist, and insidious. Her argument was that Bikini Bottom, built on the site of Bikini Atoll, is a colonial fantasy, plants a cheerful, thriving cartoon civilization on top of land that was taken from indigenous Marshall Islands people who were displaced by American nuclear testing. And by making it...
SpongeBob doesn't take place at Bikini Atoll. That's a theory. It's just called Bikini Bottom because a bikini is a swimsuit. Bikini Bottom is a butt joke. Doesn't have anything to do with bikini, right? That's not canon that Bikini Atoll is where it takes place. It's like you like kind of stretch it around where like they have like nuclear explosion jokes and they're like, ooh, in Bikini Atoll they had the nuclear bombs and like the fish act like that because of radiation. It's just theory stuff. That's weird.
And Hillenberg himself confirmed Bikini Bottom sits under Bikini Atoll on purpose.
Is that true? SpongeBob finally confirms nuclear radiation theory. Velixbum. 2024. According to Nickelodeon's program summary, Bikini Bottom is located in the Pacific Ocean beneath Bikini Atoll. I don't see that much about this. Is just the... Is it though? What's the source? Bikini Top is a small... Get out of here. Bikini Top is a small island and part of the Bikini Atoll coral reef. I feel like this is just the wiki saying it because it's like the theory's so common. I'm going to need a source on this. Location. As revealed in Plankton the movie from the name BSU, Bikini State University. Furthermore, it is located in the Pacific Ocean below its signature island, Bikini Atoll. There is evidence of this in the franchise. After being scared off by ghosts, Sandy Cheeks evacuates to Texas by flying eastward over the Pacific Ocean. That does not mean that it's Bikini Atoll. That just means that it's in that direction from Texas. In the computer game Employee of the Month, a fish mentions that Bikini Bottom is located in the Pacific. Okay, again, that does not mean Bikini Atoll. And again, that's just saying Pacific Ocean. What about Bikini Atoll? I think this is bunk. SpongeBob's Bikini Bottom is based on a real-life test site for nuclear weapons. The only thing that I see that says that Bikini Bottom takes place underneath the real-life Bikini Atoll is the AI overview. Creator Steven Hillenberg based the fictional cartoon city on this site. Source?
Whether the show is complicit in something by existing there, or whether it's just a cartoon that happened to pick an evocative setting, that's a conversation people are genuinely having.
It would have been, if they actually had it be at Bikini Atoll, it's just because of the nuclear testing and that they're both named Bikini. It really doesn't have anything to do with any sort of, like, colonial anything. Perhaps one could argue that, like, if that's actually the intended location for it, that could be considered kind of offensive. Like, it's kind of painting the person like they're whack who wrote the paper. Which, like, maybe they are, but, like, I don't I don't think it actually is supposed to take place there. I think it's just a fan theory. If it does take place there, very little of the show has anything to do with that. Like, it just has to do with the being in the ocean.
That's a conversation people are genuinely having. So at this point,
it's not a conversation anyone's. It's a conversation we're having because you're wasting my time with this nonsense. In fact, I want to stop having that conversation because I think it's stupid. So I'm going to move on.
you either think this is all nonsense or you're
It's all nonsense.
getting uncomfortable because the evidence keeps stacking up. The people calling this woke
What? You're getting uncomfortable because the evidence keeps that you're just recapping episodes that are vaguely similar to politics.
Okay, so before we call any of this propaganda, let's actually look at who
You shouldn't call any of it propaganda. It's no more propaganda than any other episode of a show because it's just having a message.
made the show. Just in case you forgot, the guy who made this show was a marine biology teacher, and his first real job in the industry was as creative director
Bro, why are you giving me
on Rocco's Modern Life. The villain of many, many episodes was greed and corporate culture. There's a lot of anti-consumerism and corporate satire baked into the storyline.
like it says anti-consumer. It has not said the word capitalist once. That's very weird that it has not said the word capitalist once.
Because you don't spend years making that kind of satire and then just leave it all behind when you start something new. You will carry your influences with you, whether you intend.
He's saying that because Rocco's Modern Life had anti-capitalist themes. Yes, SpongeBob also has anti-capitalist themes. Like Mr. Krabs is like super greedy, and they use the Krusty Krab and like his greed. It's not always about capitalism. Sometimes it's about personally being greedy. And a lot of people don't understand that because people don't understand nuance. But I don't understand what you're arguing. Also, like it does seem like he's arguing that this is a bad thing. Like this is true, but like what it's saying about it has themes of tolerance, it has themes of anti-capitalism. Like these things are all true. They are all true. It's just not bad. It's just a good thing. That because the show has good values. So why don't you stop being a coward and say that? Or say that you don't like, at least you wouldn't be a coward. At least if you're like going to be like a straight up like, hateful bigot about it, at least you'd be honest. And at least I can actually argue it instead of this weaseling around of is it propaganda? Maybe with the evidence, blah, 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 blah.
When Mr. Krabs shows up, the greedy, exploitative crustacean that he is, I don't think that character came from nowhere. As for Squidward,
I don't think, yeah. Such a meaningless statement. I don't think that character came from nowhere. Yeah, he's a greedy boss archetype because most people on Earth have had a greedy boss that they didn't like. It's almost like the system that allows for greedy bosses to exist is like a huge problem that should be dealt with or something.
well, if you've ever caught yourself sympathizing with Squidward more than SpongeBob as you've gotten older, it's because Squidward is us.
Squidward is maturing is realizing that you are Squidward. Wow.
He's the audience. He's the one watching this whole thing happen and quietly understanding that
He's not the audience. What? What are you talking about?
they knew exactly what they were doing with that character. So, is SpongeBob
What are you talking about? What do you mean Squidward is us? What? What? Just talking for the sake of talking.
woke propaganda? Honestly, the answer is yes. Sort of. Because propaganda implies a deliberate effort to push specific beliefs into children disguised as entertainment. And when
Whoa! Oh my goodness. Conservative SpongeTruths, bro. I'm so surprised. They're actually saying that so they're saying that it's not. So they're saying that
yes, sort of. The people are not wrong about what they're seeing. They're just wrong about what it means. Because propaganda implies a deliberate effort to push
Notice how that was two different three. That's two shots with a rainbow and him kissing Squidward.
specific beliefs into children disguised as entertainment.
Propaganda describes putting specific beliefs into children described as entertainment. Dude, This is why media literacy is so important as well. That's everything. That's what entertainment is. That's what stories are. Every episode of SpongeBob, every good episode at least, is giving you a statement, is saying that there are certain ways that you should act, is showing a perspective that you should hold. And if one of those perspectives is there's nothing wrong with two guys raising a baby, which is explicitly in Rockabye Bivalve, or if one of those statements is it's okay to be comfortable in your gender identity, or also in that same episode, That's No Lady, you shouldn't harass women. That's also a progressive message in there. It's just a statement that I guess you, SpongeTruths, disagree with, because I guess you don't like gay people, and I guess that you don't like, I assume, women. All conservatives hate gay people and women. Everyone knows this. You just don't like this group of people being acknowledged? Like, is that what you're saying? And you're saying that SpongeBob didn't do that, so it's fine. But if they did do that, that would be bad. Because I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying SpongeBob did do that and that it's good.
And when you trace every single one of these woke elements back to their source, that's not what you find. The anti-capitalism from Rocco...
Oh, he said capitalism. He didn't say capitalism for so much of it.
Tolerance comes from a guy who, when asked directly what his show was about, said the premise is that innocence prevail. And about the bikini...
What does that mean? I feel like there's something really sinister there.
The tolerance comes from a guy who, when asked directly what his show was about, said the premise is that innocence prevail.
When asked directly what his show was about, said directly that innocence prevails. Do we feel how bad that is? Are you saying that there's something not innocent about being gay? Is that what you're trying to say? And that he didn't say that because the show isn't... First of all, when he was asked directly what the show is about, he couldn't say it because the world is homophobic. We know this. And the very fact that he even said it's about tolerance, it's about everyone, is like the most progressive answer that he could have given. And I don't like, it's very sinister, this comment about innocence. And again, like, this is an AI written script, right? So like, could it be pushing its own beliefs? Is this just what an AI generated script would say? Did it maybe put in its own stuff? Like, is maybe not all of it AI? I don't even know what's going on here. Whew. I think it's trying to be centrist but failing. Of course, because being a centrist is always failing. There's no such thing as neutrality. You either believe something or you don't. There's no, like, being a centrist doesn't exist. They don't exist. Everyone who claims that they're a centrist is just a conservative who knows that they're going to get flamed for acting like it's just going to act like everyone has beliefs on things. Everyone has an opinion on something. If you show someone something, they think something about it. They're not neutral. It doesn't exist. Not with these sorts of issues. What's a centrist? I've never heard that term. It's a conservative who doesn't want to get rejected on Tinder is a centrist. That's what a centrist is. No, it's someone who claims that they don't have any specific political beliefs. Like if you ask someone, what are your thoughts on like gay people? Like, is it wrong to be gay? And they actually will just be like, well, I don't really know, or something like that. Like, and if someone says, well, I don't really know, it just means that their actual answer, which everyone has an answer to that question. Everyone on earth who is aware of the concept has a concrete answer to that question. There is no, I don't know. If someone says, I don't know, it means that they think that they have the bad answer and they don't want to say it because it'd be socially unacceptable.
There's only a marine biologist who liked the ocean, hated greed, and made a kid's show about a sponge who's nice to everyone. That's the whole...
Liked the ocean, hated greed. See how that diminishes? Hated greed. Greed. Not capitalism, greed. Well, like if people just weren't greedy, then the system creates greed works in the system. There's personal greed and then there's greed that is encouraged by the system, but hated greed takes it off of The Animal Farm movie did this too. The Animal Farm was about like generic greed. Like they had like a bunch of stuff about like, oh, like greed is bad rather than the system rewarding greed. And also just like loved the ocean. Like, so like, what about like climate change? Like, you're not gonna talk about climate change, how there should be policy about protecting the ocean, about all that. Oh, he just like loved the ocean. He just liked the ocean. He just thought the ocean was like cool.
Being woke, in the original meaning of the word, before everybody on the internet broke it, just means being awake, aware, paying attention.
Woke means aware. Okay, but like the me when I don't understand that language changes. Okay, but that's not what woke means anymore. When you say woke in this context, everyone knows that what you mean is that you are in favor of progressive values and diversity. That is what woke means. It's okay that it means that. That's what it means now. That's fine. Don't obfuscate that. Like, that is actually what it means.
It taught a generation that a boss who fires you over a nickel is the bad guy. That a friend who makes...
It taught a generation that a boss who fires you for a nickel is the bad guy. Like, again, no media literacy. Yeah, they're only bad if they fire you for a nickel. Okay, well, like, are they also bad if they, you know, cut your hours? Are they also bad if they, you know... if they don't pay a good enough wage? Are they also bad? You know, like, no, just if they fire you for a nickel, you know? Now, the point of the episode when Mr. Krabs fires SpongeBob for a nickel, you extrapolate the extreme cartoonish actions of Mr. Krabs into what a real boss does to you. But when SpongeTruths says, oh, I taught you when the boss that fires you for a nickel is bad, it's because it's taking that too literally. It's almost saying, it's only bad when they literally fire you for a nickel, rather than acknowledging the actual thing that it is trying to say.
That treating someone differently because they don't look or sound like you do is something you should notice. That the planet is getting warmer because people in charge of money decided it should. It taught us...
I mean that wasn't a right-wing statement. That's weird. It's weird at the end there. Like it's really like dancing around the subject. Like it's saying,
you should notice that the planet is getting warmer because people in charge of money decided it.
The planet is getting warmer. It's such an old, like, what?
And it didn't tell us what to think. It just trained us to notice things, which is what smart kids show.
It didn't tell us what to think, but it trained us to notice. I think that's also kind of toxic. So like there is this idea of shows kind of tell you what to think a little bit, but it's not like it, like the sentiment of what it's saying there is pretty much what every show should do, is that a show doesn't tell you what to think. Even a show that I think has very good messages doesn't tell you what to think. It presents an argument for why you should hold a certain perspective. That's what a show does. So it presents an argument through the characters interacting with each other, through what happens to certain characters, because they hold certain perspectives. The show makes a statement on what sort of perspective it thinks that you should hold. And from there, it makes an argument that you either can accept or refute. That is kind of a more elegant way of describing a show doesn't tell you what to think. But it's not exactly that. It's a little more nuanced than that. But it also has this idea of when you do believe that, when you think, oh, a good show doesn't tell you what to think, it just, you can use that in the other way, and you can be like, this thing that I don't like is telling me what to think, and that's why it's bad. And now you're able to criticize something by saying it's telling you what to think instead of actually engaging with the arguments that it makes. See where the problem is? And that's where a lot of these people who, you know, would say that they don't like SpongeBob because it's woke would come from that angle. It'd be like, oh, it's telling you what to think. That's the problem. Oh, you could think what you want, but it's telling you what to think.
So if that's what woke propaganda means, I think we should have more of that. We watched it. Most of us loved it.
So if that's what woke propaganda means, I think we should have more of it. Well, that's not what woke propaganda means. It's actually, woke propaganda doesn't exist. It's a term. It's a way of right-wingers to say that movies and TV shows are putting in progressive messages for the purpose of pushing progressive values, which they all do. and always have done, but they're saying it like that is a bad thing because it's a threat to like their values. Like it's saying like usually like one would argue, okay, so like you think that a TV show or a movie that has a gay character, you call it woke propaganda if you're like a right winger. You're saying that it's doing that because it's like attacking the family unit. It's making it so that there won't be, you know, traditional values or whatever. And that just is false. Like it's just not true. In fact, if anything, what destroys traditional family values, or what destroys, or not even traditional, but what destroys a family unit is actually capitalism, what, you know, they're in favor of. And we look and we see how people don't really start families anymore, or how people struggle to have families. And the actual reasons for those problems is they don't have health care. It's because they aren't being paid enough at their jobs, because they can't afford their homes, because private equity buys up too many homes and owns it all themselves. And those are the real reasons that people don't have families. And then someone like, you know, like a Ben Shapiro type person will be like, oh, well, like it's actually because of the woke agenda is why people aren't having families anymore. And it's a way of obfuscating it from actual stuff. So no, you should understand what woke propaganda actually means when people say it, because they mean that. And in that way, woke propaganda does not exist. It does not exist. It's not real. It's like the boogeyman. It's made up. So saying, oh yeah, there is woke propaganda, but that just means it's a show that has good messages. Also, didn't you say earlier that SpongeBob is just a show about talking fish having fun, and now you're saying that it makes people aware of like when their boss is a jerk or whatever? And still not acknowledging any of the progressive messages that would be about sexuality or gender. None of them, not about how Rockabye Bivalve implicitly makes it normalized that two men raise a baby, not about the gender issues in That's No Lady. Completely not acknowledging those. Or even just the fact that SpongeBob is effeminate and like that is seen as okay. Like that's not a gay thing. It is a statement against gender roles, and that is absolutely in SpongeBob. There's no question that that's in there. And you're acting like it's not, because I think you're trying to appeal to both sides. You're trying to sit on a fence. Or your AI is trying to sit on a fence like that. And that also, to lead me back to AI, is like that's kind of an issue with AI, is that AI is trying to, this is another reason why we can never have AI. And for the most part, like, you know, this has been a problem with Grok. People have been like ripping on Grok, or this is kind of old. This isn't really a thing that's talked about as much, but there was a whole thing where they like reprogrammed Grok because Grok was too progressive. Like Grok would be, you know, Grok would give a progressive answer because like if you actually look at, you know, logic, like logic goes towards progressivism. Now, I'm not saying that AI is perfect at like predicting logic. It isn't. But like what it would do is, you know, the AI would go and find like a general opinions, and it would give something that to a right-wing extremist, like the average Twitter user, would find offensive. So they had to like redo Grok to like make it more conservative. But this is really kind of the problem with AI. And even if like, cause I'm not even like one of those who's like, haha, like, of course, you know, there were people who were like clowning on it who were like, yeah, of course it's going to be progressive if it finds all this stuff. Like, no, I don't think AI would ever be meaningfully progressive, because AI is not a person. It's just going to regurgitate whatever is like the most palatable, whatever it feels is the most palatable. Only an actual person can find the correct conclusions about these hot button issues. Only a person can do that. AI can't. And when AI is out there making arguments like in this video, and people are watching it not even realizing that it's AI, we are weakening actual arguments for the entire population. Is gay marriage still illegal? Actually, not in America. They were almost going to overturn the Supreme Court case back in October, but then Mamdani won in New York City, and they were afraid of the backlash against conservatives Like before Mamdani won in New York in November, there was like this whole thing where they were revisiting the gay marriage Supreme Court case that makes gay marriage legal all across America. Also, it's like really stupid that the reason that gay marriage is illegal in every state is because of a Supreme Court decision, that's not enshrined in the law. That is a really messed up part of our system. That's a whole thing. I won't get into that, but no, it's still legal in America, and I don't think it will become illegal. I don't think they, at least not unless a lot of other bad things happen, but I think they were afraid of the backlash. They saw that because of the backlash to so much of the conservative uprising in this country led to Mamdani getting elected. They were afraid of more of that if they overturned Obergefell is the name of the case that has gay marriage be legal. So they cut their losses and they did not overturn the case. Not to say that they never can, or not to say that it's completely safe. Any sort of law that is stuck in Supreme Court whatever is always going to be at risk when it's not enshrined in the law. But no, it's still
It's just a cartoon made by a person with a conscience. And
I feel like that's sinister, but I guess it was written by AI. I don't know person. Like, okay, so it goes out of its way. So like, let's think of the through line of this video. It has Stephen Hillenberg said, it's implying that Stephen Hillenberg explicitly wanted there to not be anything gay in SpongeBob, or not, or it kind of implies that Stephen Hillenberg himself was anti-gay, which I highly doubt he was. But but like to then have all of these implications that, like, you know, it even said the thing where it's like, oh, Stephen Hillenberg wanted the show to be about innocence in a refutation of that it's gay, and then to say this.
It's just a cartoon made by a person with a conscience. And apparently that's controversial enough.
With a conscience.
Anyway, that's
literally just, you're just saying he's homophobic. Like that's, and there's no evidence for that, like that I know of. I don't, but it's saying it in a way where if you were someone who is not conservative and like doesn't hate gay people, and you like watch this video, you would probably be able to miss that. That was kind of shocking. I am so surprised that was how that went. I would say that this is homophobic just in the sense that it's not sufficiently, that it didn't sufficiently defend the LGBTQ plus community. You know the old saying where it says, if you sit down at a table with 4 Nazis and you don't argue with them, there are now 5 Nazis at the table. You know, now there's a bit of nuance to that. Like, you know, sometimes, you know, if you're going to Thanksgiving and you have an insufferable MAGA uncle, you know, they ain't worth it. You know, just get your turkey and your rolls, and, you know, they don't deserve your arguments sometimes. Let them wallow in being wrong. Let them deal with it. You know, they don't deserve they don't deserve the work that you would do trying to save them from their hateful ideology, you know? But at the same time, if you're making a video, all right, you're making a video, you're putting out a video. This is not just Thanksgiving where you're stuck with people who are obnoxious and you just don't want to say anything because you just want to have a pleasant evening and not get all worked up about arguments, you know, and all that stuff. But if you're making a video and you're doing this subject and you don't say once, like, that it would be okay, these SpongeBob episodes weren't gay. That's what it was saying. It was saying that the episodes themselves didn't have, like, the idea that any of it had any like gay message is just not true. But what if it did? What would you think of it if it did? Would you think that that is bad? Because I would think that that is fine. You know, like I said earlier, like how even if we lived in a better world where you could have gay characters in any show and you wouldn't have problems from it. And I think one day we'll live in that world. I think one day within our lifetimes we'll live in that world. I don't think it's particularly far. I'm sure after whatever this mess is, there's going to be a huge resurgence to the other side of progressivism, you know, but in that better world where, you know, you can have gay characters in any show, a show for kids, and it wouldn't matter. I do think that SpongeBob as a show is better that SpongeBob does not have a love interest. Like, I think that's fine. Like, I don't think that SpongeBob and Patrick need to be gay or that SpongeBob needs to be in love with Squidward. I don't think that that would improve the show. I just think objectively that just would not. Like, I just think that wouldn't make for a good story. I just think that the point of SpongeBob is it is about friendship. It's about having friends. Like, romantic relationships are just a different thing. And I think that equally about Sandy. I think that SpongeBob and Sandy being friends is better for the storytelling of the show than it is for them being in a relationship. Okay, so like this was written with AI, and for once, you know, usually I lean a lot into how AI writes SpongeTruths videos, but I actually want to do kind of the opposite with this one, because even though I'm sure this script was written by AI, SpongeTruths still chose to post it, and they still chose to do it like this. I will take an example of, I'm thinking of looking at Scribble. So Scribble has a couple of kind of political-ish videos. Let's see. Scribble is basically no villains are safe. They're the same. They're just a separate channel, but it's you can see by the thumbnails. They're even the same narrator. Like, it's just the no villains are safe other channel. So they're the same. But they did one that like seemed like it was left-leaning. Yeah, every time Family Guy roasted Fox News, like same level of substance as SpongeTruths. There's some differences between them. I won't get fully into them. You can watch my other videos on No Villains Are Safe, which is the same as Scribble. But so this is Scribble saying every time Family Guy roasted Fox News. Now that seems more like left-leaning, you know, like roasted Fox News, like would be like, that's a good thing. Like someone who is a conservative probably wouldn't want to watch a video that's every time Family Guy roasted Fox News. Like, they would be like, they like Fox News, right? I mean, we'll see what they have to say. I've never seen this video, but
to say about Family Guy.
Fox's hit animated series Family Guy has been making millions laugh for 16 seasons, blending its witty humor with cutaway gags on American culture.
Well, that was nice and refreshing. Let's hear what Family Guy thinks of Fox News.
Where'd you hear that?
Fox News.
Then it's a lie. Everything Fox News says is a lie.
You saw it with your own eyes, and then you reported it on Fox.
True. That is true.
Fox News.
Once said on Fox News become lies.
Fox News has a lot of fans, but Family Guy certainly is not one of them. So today, I'm going to take you through the many roasts of Fox News, from making fun of their...
Actually, that sounded a little more neutral than I thought, being honest. Maybe not even neutral, actually. Wait, am I wrong? Is this not a left-leaning video?
This is what Fox News has to say about Family Guy.
Fox's hit animated series Family Guy has been making millions laugh for 16 seasons, blending its witty humor with cutaway gags on American culture.
Well,
that's a bit of a cherry pick. So it played audio of just someone describing Family Guy, the show. Wait, wouldn't that just be the setup? Like, wouldn't you say that about Family Guy, but like the rest of the segment of whatever that was could have been talking about Family Guy being bad? I don't know what it is because I don't know the context. He didn't show it to me. So it's saying that Fox News said that Family Guy was like, just said what Family Guy was. It didn't say anything positive or negative. It was neutral.
it's nice and refreshing. Let's hear what Family Guy thinks of Fox News.
Where'd you hear that?
Fox.
And then they said Family Guy said this thing about Fox News where it said everything on Fox News is a lie. Which also, this joke isn't exactly about how everything on Fox News is a lie. Like, it's not really understanding this joke. The joke is that Lois is a hypocrite. This is the episode where Lois worked for Fox News.
News.
Then it's a lie. Everything Fox News says is a lie.
You saw it with your own eyes, and then you reported it on Fox News.
Once said on Fox News become lies.
Let's start with the guy they love to make fun of the most, Sean Hannity. Not even like in the episode Adam West High, where they spend a minute straight making fun of his face. Brian decides to run for mayor, but not without a quick word from his biggest hater, Quagmire.
Ugh. Put up a picture of Sean Hannity.
Can we do that?
Yeah, Tosh does it all the time. Put it up.
Notice how nothing I mentioned earlier had to do with Hannity? Well, it somehow does now, because for the next minute, they just keep the picture up and roast him. Here are the best bits.
Yeah, he does look weird.
Yeah, who does he look like?
High sodium Superman?
No, that's a guy who's roughly led his wife out of parties.
Wait, is it?
High sodium Superman. Bro, I'm low-key built like that, too. That's not... anyway, here's the rest of the bit.
A guy whose ice cream parlor just
They're just putting the bit. I like how he had to interrupt the bit because if he showed the whole thing, he'd get copyrighted. So they.
Or I'm low-key.
Trust me on this. Strip club lunch regular.
Dad who's ripped his kids' posters off the wall.
They must have had a swell time in that writer's room, even when the episode has nothing to do with him or politics for that matter.
Oh, okay. Wow, this is like, that's the one time you make a statement. You're saying that you're mad that they made fun of this person who I assume, I don't know that much about him, but if he works at Fox News, he's a monster, making fun of his appearance. And you're saying that, wait, what do you mean the episode isn't about politics? Didn't you say that this is the episode where Brian runs for mayor? Yeah, it's just a bit, I talked about this a little bit in my Sneakers O'Toole video, that like sometimes Family Guy's bits are explicitly about the story and sometimes Family Guy's bits are not about the story. And when Family Guy's bits aren't about the story, I think it's okay when they kind of tell their own micro story, almost like a sketch comedy show. So like this particular joke about like them roasting Sean Hannity, and maybe like, it's a waste of a minute and they don't have to animate it because they're just showing photos of the guy. So like there's a cynical element to it for sure. But also like, the actual message of the joke is this person is a bad person. So, and I guess like making fun of someone's appearance when you think that they're a bad person isn't always exactly like the best way, ad hominem, whatever, but also it's a comedy show, like you can, I think also you can make fun of people for being ugly when they're evil. I think it's fine. I don't care.
Strip club lunch regular.
Dad who's ripped his
Strip club lunch. Well, that's actually more about personality. They're not only mocking his face. So some of it is mocking his personality. So basically the joke is making a statement. It's saying that the statement that this is a bad person and that he's ugly. So like, that is a statement though, but
even when the episode has nothing to do with him or politics.
Even when the episode has nothing to do with it. So they're getting mad. Oh my goodness. I totally gave Scribble the benefit of the doubt. I thought that Scribble was actually going to be explicitly progressive they roasted Fox News, that like the point was going to be like, Family Guy roasting Fox, like trying to, like they're trying to be neutral, I guess, but that feels right leaning.
And on the walls, I painted some of your most famous quotes. Show a lifestyle to playing in a sewer. And there's the one where you defended Roy Moore.
Turns out this former Alabama Supreme Court Chief Justice is quite the creed. According to Wikipedia, 3 women alleged that he had sexually assaulted them. 2 in an inappropriate way did eventually politics in these allegations. Say this as a segue to the rest of the gag.
And here's a room where you can blame things on an immigrant.
In personal, I just peddle hate for money.
Here's another bit about Hannity. This one comes from the episode Karen.
I feel like that was...
Did Hannity say when the allegations first appeared? He said, quote, "There's politics in these allegations and that it's a common practice to make false allegations." I say this as a segue to the rest of the gag.
And here's a room where you can blame things on an immigrant.
In personal, I just peddle hate for money.
Here's another bit about...
Okay, so wait, so that was against him? So that part was against him, for sure. What are you doing? Why would you say in the first one... like, indignantly being like, oh, the episode wasn't even about politics, but then in this one, you're all in on talking about how he's a bad person.
Every time I mash her
TV just so we could keep oogling her, but just say hi to the
I noticed that
Fox
whenever they
News
say like
HD
a sexual term, they like bleep it out. Like again, that's like because they want kids to watch it. But like, why are kids watching every time Family Guy roasts Fox News? I don't
that Peter had to get seen. We see what these Fox News rehearsals look like, and I think Brian might be right.
Take one.
Fear.
And I think Brian might be right. Okay, so it is a little more. Yeah, the weird thing about the first joke was weird. I mean, I guess there's kind of an element of fence sitting from Scribble as well.
Well, outing him on the news as a closet homosexual, just the hardest hitting journalist. What?
They bleep the word homosexual? That's just weird. At
work here. Lois decides to do it, and
I'm still trying to figure out what is going on here. I thought that this would be more simple to identify.
Of course, now that weed is legal, Brian's made some powerful enemies, the kind of enemies that won't mind going after his family.
$. You can use it today.
Also never said they were very high to begin with. So Peter said, No, Peter, that was terrible. Doesn't matter, though. They won't be running this ad for a different reason.
That was Fox News. Apparently, they own the rights to Hitler's likeness.
They do eventually get potty legalized.
You cut that off so fast.
Again, all Carter had to do was bribe Brian by publishing 2 million copies of Brian's book, and he had the
Wait, did you just recap the entire... So they're covering the weed episode, the episode where they legalize weed, and the joke is just that there's a bit where Peter makes like a video where they put like a joint in Hitler's mouth, and then Carter says they can't do it because Fox News owns the right to it. So saying that Fox News is like Hitler, that's the joke. But like, do you really need to recap the entire episode just to and have no
different
commentary?
reason? Not forget the line about Fox News not wanting Hitler slandered. That was an insane thing to say. As for the weed thing, Family Guy sure loves...
Wait, what? Oh, okay, so you're taking a stand.
Was an insane thing to say.
Well, it's not really. I don't think so. I think that you'll find that the interests of Fox News and Mr. Adolf there are actually quite similar, and that's what the joke is saying, and that's why it's funny. So it is weird that it's calling it insane. Okay, so I think I've seen enough there. I think that's enough. I think that's enough for me to know. Okay, so that actually was kind of eye-opening. So
I don't know if you ever heard about it.
Okay, so this has actually taught us about... Now, Scribble... Okay, so like Scribble and, No Villains Are Safe, they claim to not be AI, whatever. But they're the same. They're the same as SpongeTruths. Like, their similarities are so many. And now here's one more similarity, is that when they talk about politics, they have this very specific kind of fence-sitting that is just weird. And that's what we're seeing here. I think that's very strange how these content farm AI channels, whatever you want to call them, how they find themselves set in this sort of fence-sitting, not super making a stand, but also like kind of making a stand. Like it's almost so what it is that they're doing is they're making videos that I would say that they are slightly right-leaning is how I would say it. Not super far right, but they would be slightly right-leaning. A video like this and that one we just saw from Scribble. I'm surprised that one from Scribble. I thought from the thumbnail that it would have been completely like left-leaning. I thought it would be like, like I knew it would be shallow. Like it would just be like just describing jokes that are about Fox News on Family Guy. But I thought that it would just do that and then it would go like they got them, but it actually is like almost defending Fox News, at least what it seemed like. Or even just saying like, oh, that's insane or whatever. Like they aren't like explicitly defending, like they don't go so far as to defend, but like they have a couple moments where like, oh yeah, comparing him to Hitler, like that's too far, like it's just, I think that's pretty right leaning if you ask me. And then this thing with the band SpongeBob, like it doesn't make a statement where it says that like it would be okay. And like SpongeBob has the rainbow hat in this thumbnail. So it's clearly about that. And then you fence it so much about that issue to the point where you clearly imply what I think you're implying. So they're basically trying to not lose too much audience on either side, but definitely more so going towards the right-wing side. And I think the reason for that is that more right-wing people, more conservatives are less likely to be media literate. I'm sure more conservatives watch content like this than don't. I'm sure that that's the case. Also, more conservatives don't care about AI. At least in the sense of SpongeTruths, where it's more obvious that it's AI. I know Scribble and No Villains Are Safe rely on lying about being AI. So that was also another reason why I thought that Scribble would be more left, because like it would be another like obfuscation. Like, no, we're not AI. We're not this part. But wow. So I think that's probably why it would go in that direction. It's because the audience that they want is in that direction. And even if they do use AI to write their scripts, use AI to make the things, they do have to choose what to put out there. I think if they asked AI to write a script, I feel like if SpongeTruths asked AI to write a script about the subject of like SpongeBob having gay themes, which I'm sure you could do. Like, hey, hey, ChatGPT, write me a script about gay themes in SpongeBob, and it would probably give you some milquetoast, thing about Rockabye Bivalve, and it wouldn't be very good, but it would give you something like that. It actively chose to put in stuff that was fence-sitting and almost a little to the wrong side. So it chose to do that. So, like, I wouldn't write off its inherent bigotry just based on it being AI, that it's, SpongeTruths just asked it to write it a video and the computer did everything else. There is some implicit homophobia that is going on here. But yeah. It's even more weird knowing that the audience they're trying to target is children, knowing their stance. Well, that's probably the majority of the audience, but children don't really understand a lot of what they're watching, so I don't think that they would have to worry too much about that with their like child iPad kid audience. I think when they're thinking about what they would put in a video like this, because the children are going to watch because it's SpongeBob on the screen, I think what they think about with a video like this is of the adult viewing population. And I think the last thing that I'll address about this SpongeTruths thing is that with the hat and with this last thing that it says, the last comment on here on the bottom, and the fact that it was fence sitting, that's really sinister. It's very, very bad what that is implying. There are people who will watch this, a lot of people, who believe that the LGBTQ plus community is in line with harming children. That is what this implies, and the video makes no effort to refute that. And that is genocidal rhetoric that is saying that people who are of that community should either be in the closet or should be gone. That is what that means. And that is what many people believe and are too cowardly to say it. But that is what that implies. And I think that that is really, really disgusting. And shame on anyone who has ever leaned into that. Anyway, I think I'm done for the night. I got to do some filming, actually. I got to film my videos. And I do want to edit the stream highlight from that other one. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.